Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing video 6 in my TBR completion project series. I can't believe we're already up to video 6. What even? If you're new to my channel or if you're new to these videos, what I do is I react to a previous TBR from earlier this year, and all the unread books that are on that TBR I will read in the second half of this video, which will be a reading vlog. I did not do a July TBR, so today we will be reacting to my August TBR. I'm pretty sure this TBR was reasonable and I think I got through most of the books, but I don't know what's on here, so it's going to be interesting, as always. Also, of course, I will have the link for the playlist of this series in the description box and up in the cards if you have not watched any of the videos yet.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to share with you all the books I am hoping to get to in August. Like Ishi and I are hoping to get to Strange. I always say Strange to Dreamer. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Noel.
If you watched the previous video in this series, you would have seen Jonathan Strange and Mr. Noel also on that TBR. It's going to show up again because this book took me 3 or 4 months to complete. In the end, it got read.
The book I'm intending to get to is the third book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and this is called Ruin by John Gwynne. I will be buddy reading this book with Katy.
Okay, I'm laughing because I did complete this, but Katy's still reading it. Yes, Katy, I'm calling you out to finally finish Ruin. I love you. It is the third book in an epic Viking-inspired fantasy series, and unfortunately it was my least favourite installment in the series so far.
The last of my buddy reads that I have planned is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jameson.
I read the 5th season. I loved it so much. It is one of my top books of the year. It's incredible. I still need to continue on with book 2 and book 3. I know the second book is going to show up on a future TBR video, and I cannot wait because when I tell you I want to read that book, oh my god, I want to read that book so bad.
We are buddy reading Jade War, which is the sequel to Jade City by Fonda Lee.
I did read Jade War. It is another book that is at the top of my top reads of 2020 that I've read.
And then planning on picking up We Hunt the Flame.
Oh, I forgot I put this on here. So We Hunt the Flame, I did start reading this last year in, I think, September. I was listening to the audiobook while I was packing when I moved. I think I was just so stressed from like moving and packing and doing things that I couldn't focus on the audiobook, so I've wanted to give this book another chance ever since because I really just didn't take in the story. I was planning to do that here in August, but I did not do that, so I have not read that.
Now, the last book on my August TBR is Such a Fun Age by Katy read.
Okay, I read that too. So, hang on. I only have one book. No, is that right? Is that right? I'm in shock. I'm what? I think I did know Jonathan Strange was going to be on here because, like I said, it's going to show up in quite a few TBRs, but everything else was a complete wild card. Oh my god, that just makes me so relieved. So what I'm going to do is I will be reading We Hunt the Flame, but I'm currently still filming the previous installment in this vlog series, which had unfortunately a lot of books on it, which I'm not going to complete in that video. So I'm going to carry some books over into this vlog. Oh my god, okay, this is really exciting. I'm feeling really rejuvenated because I fell a bit behind with my vlog scheduling, and now I feel like this week we are catching up. Nicole is catching up. I'm getting so much read. We're going to be up to date. I'm starting filming for this video so late. Each week it just keeps getting a little later and later. Next week the goal is to start filming at the beginning of the week, not when the week is almost over. So reading plans for this week, mandatory reads are these 3, but I actually reread this book yesterday. I first read this I think in May last year, and I really enjoyed it, but I gave it 4 stars, and I'm giving it 4.5 stars this time. I really love this book. We start off with following Rosemary, who is a human who grew up on Mars. She arrives to this ship called the Wayfarer, which is where her new job is going to be. It's just about this crew, and there's a few humans, there's a few like other alien species that Becky Chambers has made up. It's about their dynamics. They have a bit of a fanfare family situation going on, which is just so wholesome. But what I loved about this is there's so much commentary on social norms, like culture and customs and like human customs, but also the customs of these alien species that Becky Chambers has created. A lot of the like social customs that the alien species has is a commentary to our human customs and how some things that we do is a little bit ridiculous. But there's also tribute to some great human customs, like sitting down for dinner every night with your family and sharing that. I think each character was so well crafted, not just in terms of like their own characterization, but I think what they all stood for was so strong. Each of these characters kind of brought something different to the table individually, whether that was like social commentary or like cultural commentary. It was really great. It was really fascinating and interesting. The first time I read this, I remember my main critique being that there is a lack of plot, and that is why I gave the book 4 stars and not 5, and I still agree with that. There's not much plot in this, but it's not meant to be a plot-driven story. However, I do find the second last fourth in this novel, I think there's a little bit of dragging out, and I think if there was more of a plot, that wouldn't happen. But other than that, I just love the characters in here. I really love how rich this world is and how effortless it feels. The world building and the references I thought was so gently delivered. I'm not as familiar with sci-fi as I am with fantasy, but there's so many times where it can just feel like you're just bombarded with information, and it can feel like a lot, whereas in here I feel like it was done in a really gentle way that made the story easy to read. And I think that's because there was more of a focus on the characters rather than actual world setting building. I also did make a start on the second book, A Close and Common Orbit. I'm currently 130 pages into this. I'm hoping to get this done tonight actually. So far, all I will say is I'm not loving this as much as I loved this one. If you don't know, even though these books are a series, it's a companion series. This book follows a side character from this book, a minor side character. I just love the characters from the first book so much, and these ones I'm not feeling as closely attached to. But the second thing is it's got a dual timeline in here. We're switching from like present day, but then we're also seeing one of the other characters 20 years previous and their childhood and situation growing up. I'm hopeful that I will grow more attached and enjoy the story more the more I read, because I haven't read much. And then we have these two. So it's Monday. I know I said I was going to catch up this week and have this video up on time, and I just gotta stop saying that because I'm literally bullshitting everyone at this point. I took a few days off because I had to read The Sword of Kaigen because it was the Busy Bee book club pick for November, and Erin, the host, who is my lovely friend, asked me to be in the live show for it with her. So I read that book. We just had the live show this morning, so I'll leave a link to the live show and of course Erin's channel. Please check her out. She's awesome, especially when it comes to fantasy books. We have such similar taste and I just love her so much, and it was such a good live show. So I took a few days off to read that, and then I sort of took a day off also because I was sick. I'm feeling a lot better now. But I did finish A Close and Common Orbit. I definitely don't love this one as much as I love Long Way. It's just these are character stories. So if you connect to the characters, you will love the story. But if you don't love these characters, then you might not vibe the story as much. And the thing is, I just really vibed with Long Way. And we had this whole family dynamic. And I loved the group we had. And then in here I did like the characters and I found them interesting, but I definitely wasn't as attached to them as I was with the characters in Long Way. And I think part of the issue is the dual timeline. I sometimes have an issue with dual timelines, and that can prevent me from connecting to characters to a certain degree. It depends how it's done. Like, there are exceptions, but there are examples like this where it just doesn't work for me, and unfortunately it didn't here. While I do appreciate the dual timeline because it was interesting to get a particular character's backstory and also to see this part of the world and how it was run, I ultimately don't think it needed to be as much in the story as it was. So giving this 3 stars. So I still enjoyed the book. This book as well is on my top 20, that is really my top 19 books of 2020 to read. So we've ticked off another book. Now, in terms of the last 2 books. I've made a start on Witch Sign. I'm currently 175 pages in, so I'm up to chapter 18. The 2 main characters in this book are siblings, Steiner and Kelvin. I might be pronouncing her name incorrectly, but a brother and sister. The brother is 18, the sister is 16, and they live in this world where guards from the Empire go out every so often and they try and find children who have what's called the Witch Sign. This essentially is what marks them as children that possess magic, and anyone who has the sign is then taken away from their home, and it is common belief that they are killed, those children, but we learn quite early on that these children are not killed, that they're taken away to this island for purposes that you soon discover. The sister character is someone who is known in her village, not known, but there's whispers in her village that she is a witch. She's kind of suspicious. She goes into the woods a lot. And then the brother, no one thinks he has any magic or has a witch sign. But when the guards come around to check people in this village, they end up taking the brother and not the sister. So we're following now the brother who's been taken away because he's been declared to have this witch sign, and then the sister who does have powers remaining in the village and her continuing her story. My main concern at the moment with this is we've had a lot of reveals very, very early on, and I'm just kind of getting worried that there's not going to be any other reveals. On the one hand, it's good because it does create intrigue, but at the same time, I feel like we've lost a bit of tension because we know a lot. I'm hoping that other things come to light. We hunt the flame. Oh my god, this writing is stunning. So beautiful and lush. I'm not far into this. I'm only 50 pages in, so I have quite a bit to go with this. I finished Witch Sign. Unfortunately, this book is getting 2 stars from me. I think if I haven't read as many adult fantasy books as I have at this point, I would have probably enjoyed this more. For a fantasy book to get a high rating from me, it does have to have something that stands out. Whether that's the magic, whether that's some sort of other world building, whether that's characters or plot, there needs to be something. Whereas this was very standard. Nothing wrong with it. Most of this plot is we have Steiner, the brother character, on this other island living there. Very shortly after his arrival on the island, it's discovered that those guards made a mistake with selecting him and that he does not in fact have the witch sign. Then we follow his sister, who is back at home in their village. She's trying to learn magic, and the sister has this weird plan to go and replace her brother because she's the one who was supposed to be taken, but she doesn't want to save him. She wants to replace him. In any aspect of the story, I just did not find there to be enough exploration, enough explanation. Why did I say those 2 words back to back? Like, I never came to understand the scope of the magic. We got origins of the magic, which was interesting, but there was just never enough. And I was right in what I said earlier, where I feel like the most interesting information about this book was delivered very early on, like within the first 100 pages. And then everything else just sort of happened, but wasn't anywhere interesting. I'm gonna go now and try and finish We Hunt the Flame. Oh my god, I just filmed this whole clip and I hadn't pressed start, so I didn't film it, but I just sat down to talk. I finished finally We Hunt the Flame. I really wanted to love this, and unfortunately I didn't. For me personally, there were issues with the pacing, like the plot pacing. I found the story happened way too slowly. So all of this is part 1, and that's the first 160 pages, and in that we just get the setup of both characters. So this book switches between the POV of the male and the female character. The female in this, she is a huntress, so she goes out, disguises herself as a man and goes out and hunts for her village and to provide for them. We learn about her 2 friends, we learned about her family, we learned that her mother was once a nurse but is now really sick, and her younger sister looks after her mother. We learned about her father who died, but he had a really great influence on her life. We learned about how he raised her and how he raised her influence or makes up who she currently is. Then we follow a prince who is also an assassin. He is an assassin for his father, the Sultan, and he goes out and does the killing, the bidding, whatever his father commands. And he's really secluded, but also at the same time, he's also like kept away from everyone. So he doesn't really have anyone that he has like close relationships with, because every time he does try to get close or does get close to someone, his father does something to that person. I was a little bit conflicted on his character, particularly because he's an assassin and a prince, and I wanted to know why he has to be an assassin while he's a prince. Like, that took a little bit of wrapping my head around. We do find out more about that later on in the story, but I was focusing too much on that in the beginning in his chapters because I was trying to just understand why. At the beginning of this book, both of these characters are individually met by this witch, Silver Spirit Lady, and they are told that they have to go on this quest. Essentially what happens is there was once magic in this world, and about 90 years ago magic was wiped out, and their quest includes going on a hunt to refine magic. Something I did not like that this book did was there's too much reflecting from the characters. I don't like it when authors focus too heavily on dreams, memories, whatever, to show relationship dynamics or to show characters' feelings and intentions or whatever. I'd rather much be in the present and have the story moving forward and have those elements be shown in the present somehow rather than constant reflecting. And it was just too much focus on the past and not enough on the present and moving forward that I felt the story really dragged. Like, I'm giving it 2.5 because I did really like the writing. I would be really interested to hear your thoughts if you've read this, because I have heard mixed things, so I'd really want to know what other people think. Gladly, that means it's the end of this vlog. If you have made it this far, please leave me the fire emoji, just because I've really got to pick up speed and, you know, I've just really got to get cracking with this series because the year is ending and I'm behind. I'm not supposed to be behind. If you have made it this far, thank you so much, and I really hope that you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!